All right, this is a demo of Move Everything, which is some extra software you can put on your Move to play additional synthesizers, add effects, and do other cool stuff. So when you install it, your Move is going to work just how you expect, but there's some new shortcuts to learn. One of them is holding Shift and Volume, and just touch the volume knob. And if you press Track, you'll see this new menu. This is the Shadow UI that has additional features. If you do the same thing, Shift Volume and Menu, you'll see the master effects chain. So these are all signal chains, and each signal chain can contain a MIDI effect, a sound generator or a synthesizer, and two audio effects. So what do we have here? Let's start with synthesizers. We have a few that have been ported over. We have Dext, which is a DX7 style FM synthesizer that's, I think, 6 operators. You can also have the line in and process it through effects. Mini JV, which is a Roland JV880 emulator. OBXD, which is an Oberheim style synthesizer, and SF2 player, which plays sound fonts. Let's just go through them really quick. So here's Dext. You'll see Dext is here loaded in this synth slot. I can add effects, but for now, let's go to settings. And settings, you can see some stuff like the volume, the receive channel, which is the channel that this slot will receive MIDI on, and the forward channel, which is what the actual synthesizer that's running underneath receives. We'll keep this at 1-on-1, and we'll keep this here, and we'll go to knobs later. And we go back and we hit back again. We're back to the regular Move interface. If you hit Shift and a track, you'll see the MIDI configuration. We'll have this receive on channel 1, go out to channel 1, and we can start playing. So now we can use the regular Move interface. This is set to an empty sampler preset, so there's no sound coming from the Move, and you'll hear the sound coming through. This to, I don't know, analog drift. You'll hear them both come through. That's not what we want. So I'm going to change this back to sampler. And now we only hear the DX7. So if I want to change anything about the DX7, I can hold Shift, Volume, and go back to my Shadow UI for slot 1. And I can click into this, and I have all the presets that are in this bank. You notice I'm not playing right now because you can also play with an external controller. That's what that MIDI in was doing there. So let's get this line back up. We have all the presets. We can run through all the presets. And if I click in again on the jog wheel, I have this menu where I can edit all of the information about this preset. I can change all the operator values. I can change global effects. I can also jump to a different bank. So let's try a different bank, and now I have different presets. All right. Cool thing about this is that it's using the Move sequencer and MIDI underneath. So as long as this is set to the same MIDI that it's receiving, and then I can use Move instruments alongside it. So let's just get some drums. Let's change it to a different preset. So you can see you can start to get some wild stuff. Let me clear this track here, delete the clip, and I'll delete this too. Cool, so what else do we have? We've got the Dext, so if I'm on a slot here, I can also hold Shift and click in, and I can swap to a different synth. Let's look at MIDI JV. So this is an emulator of the Roland JV880 Rompler synthesizer sampler. This has a bunch of awesome classic 90s sounds. I can come in and I can actually start to play some of these. And it's just got like endless classic sounds. You can also jump to any of the expansions. So let's go to, I don't know, the vintage synthesizer expansion. And again, same thing here. I can use the Move synthesizer, start sequencing these, and then add something on top.
Other cool stuff. We've got a, let me get back to swap module. There we go. Swap module, OBXD. This is an Oberheim inspired synthesizer. I come in here and do different patches. And again, I can come in here and I can adjust all of the things that I might want to adjust. Different settings for the patch or the global. And then I can also adjust the filter, for instance. So the knobs will work when you're in a synth. It'll work on the page that you're on. You can also here on settings, you can assign any of the knobs to a parameter for that. So let's assign this to cutoff here. And then, so that's assigned to synth cutoff. And what that does is that now when I'm in move mode, even though I'm not in the UI, I could use this to adjust something on the underlying preset. But if I hold down Shift, and let me get it so you can see it. If I hold down Shift and I move this knob, you can see we overlay the parameter that's underneath. And so as I move that, it starts to change the underlying sound. And so this means that you can control the shadow UIs, synthesizers, and everything while you're using the Move UI. Other stuff that we also have a sound font player, which is cool because there's a lot of great sound fonts available on the internet. These are kind of what you might consider classic, like MIDI sounds too. Let's get just like a basic jazz guitar, something a little quieter. So what else can you do with Move Everything? You can add effects. So there are some effects that we have here. We have Cloud Seed, which is like an algorithmic reverb, Free Verb, which is a basic reverb, PSX Verb, which is a recreation of the PlayStation 1's reverb algorithm, Tape Scam, which is a sort of Tascam inspired, Tape Distortion, and Tape Delay, which is like a space echo kind of delay. So if we add Cloud Seed to this, you can hear now that same nylon guitar with the nice reverb. Let's give it a big decay and maybe take down the mix and give the size a little lower. So cool thing is we're using the regular Move UI. So let's get this. Use capture, quantize, clear, everything you might want to do with a regular, let's not sustain, with a regular Move instrument, you can do here. The one thing we can't do is automation, but you can still adjust all the effects. So other things you can do here are this reverb. Here's another reverb, more of a basic reverb. You also have PSX Verb, which is really nice if you get some of these big. Sounds like a RPG. Tape Scam, which adds some nice distortion. And some noise. Let's get a little tape here, some wobble, some hiss, a little down in the tone. And then you can add these in parallel. So let's add some reverb on top of that. Let's add Cloud Seed after that. So that's all cool for the synths. The other thing you can do though, let me turn this off, is I'm gonna see if I can make this work with this audio. I'm gonna mute my audio so you can't hear me for a second. And now I've enabled the line-in synthesizer, and this is using the Moves microphone, and I can route it through the effects. So this uses whatever was set in the main Move for the input, whether it's line in if you have something attached, the microphone, or even resampling, I guess, if you want to do that. But the cool thing is you can run this through the effects. So the effects here only affect the Move
everything synths. So if I come back here and I change this to just the regular move mode, I'm on here, I'm going to change this to drift. So now, see, that's not going to the effects. But the line in still is. So let me turn this on and get my
audio back here. Turn this off. So now I'm not going to have anything on this track. I'm just going to go back to regular drift. We have this master effects track. And so now I can add master effects, and this will affect everything, both the move everything synths and the regular move synths. So I come here and I add a master effect. I can adjust everything that I normally would on the synth as a move instrument, and then have it run through the effects. So that's pretty cool too. Last thing is that there are a bunch of modules. You can choose to install them when you install Move Everything. There's also a module store. So if you go back to the UI and you go here, you'll see Get More. This will show you all of the available modules to install. It takes a second to load. And if there's an update, it'll give you an update. You can get more information about it. You can reinstall it, stuff like that. So that is all of the tracks and synths. So every track has a slot. A slot has these modules. Oh, I forgot to show you synth effects. So let's add just a sound font. We also have a chord and arpeggiator. Arpeggiator is just a basic arpeggiator like you might have already seen on the Move. You can do your different permutations of an arpeggiator, sync it to internal clock or the MIDI clock that it might be sending out. But then chord mode is cool too. Let me turn off the drift here. Set this back to a empty sampler. So now we have chord mode. So I'm playing externally are the pads, and the chords are going to the Move Everything synth. If I come in here, I can change chord type, inversions, and then this is really cool, I think, the strum. I can adjust some strum for the chord. Up or down. And so these can all work together. So you have a MIDI effect that goes into a synth, and then you can have another effect on top of it. Let's add some delay. Those go to the master effects, where we have this reverb. Let's turn this off. You can hear just the chord into the sound font into the delay. Cool. So that's the main Move Everything stuff. There are some quirks about how it handles volume because it runs alongside it. It tries to match the volume to this volume line that you see on the screen. So it tracks that, and individual tracks, it uses this screen to track that too. So if you're in the Move Everything interface, you can't adjust these as easily with a knob, but when you're using the regular Move side, you can. Last thing, two last things. One, we also have this concept of overtake modules. And so if you hold shift volume and click the jog wheel, you get this overtake menu. These are things that are not exactly the Move UI. They are something that happens on top of it. So let me go back. I'm going to turn off the MIDI on track 1 so it doesn't interfere. And I can show you some of these. So for instance, we have a Launchpad Pro emulator that Bobby Digitalis made, which connects to an M8 and emulates a Launchpad Pro so that you can use the Launchpad Pro integration for the M8 with your Move. We have SID Control, which is a MIDI controller for an upcoming SID-based instrument, and then MIDI controller, which you can see this takes over the whole Move UI. This becomes a MIDI controller. You can see what it's sending. And it has knobs that send CC. You can have different banks of knobs, etc. So this is cool for controlling external instruments from the Move. If you want to exit, you just hold Shift and Volume and click the jog wheel again, and then you're back. Last thing is there's also a standalone mode. So if you hold Shift, Volume, and tap knob 8, you're taken to this menu. This is all of the modules that you saw in the Move mode. You can also load here. So I could load, let's see, OBXD. And this is useful for using things as like a sound module. There's less CPU overhead. The Move interface isn't running at all. So that can be here. There's also some stuff like signal chain, where I could create a signal chain based on using a synthesizer and then add some effects and sort of create a slot in the same way for me to just use here. There's also some additional utilities. There's a 4-track recorder where I can have these signal chains running and actually record them to tape. And then you can also do things like you want to run the MIDI controller on its own. You can do that too. Yeah, that's basically it. Most of the action happens on the Move side, where you can enable these different tracks. So each track, there's 4 slots, so each track can have a slot. You just assign the right MIDI channel that you're sending out from your track. The synth receives the MIDI, plays through the effects, or you can route everything through the master effects. And it's pretty fun. It's open source, it's modular. Anybody can make new instruments or new effects that run on this. If you want to add something to the module store, just ask me and we can get it added. Otherwise, you can install it yourself and it's not a problem. That's it. Have fun. Thanks.